Hi there, Suzanne. I was just getting ready to finish up, but I decided to go ahead and critique you because I think it would be helpful for you to probably have this critique sooner rather than later. So here we go. Okay. So I think you're off to a good start. I like that these are all different items. You have the cake here and then also a cake here. I'm wondering if this is supposed to be more of a cupcake. Probably not because you have a cupcake here. And so usually I would probably encourage you to only have one cake. This one's really simple, but you could make this one a little bit less simple by adding a second tier, keeping the same design, and then you would only have one cake. Just because you don't want them to be too similar that they're sending the same message. So this is sending the message cake. This is sending the message cake. Okay, and then something else I'm noticing is you have 4 that are products. So you said this is for your daughter's measuring cup baking shop, which sounds really cute. Okay, so maybe the reason you have the measuring cups is that's the title of her baking shop. Because I was like, these really don't go because you have 4 end results and then 1 baking utensil. But maybe this is kind of just a bonus one you're doing because her title is measuring cup. So if I'm thinking about this as a bonus, but these 4 really being the main sets, I could kind of get behind that. All right. Okay, so I have a few different ideas. I think this is supposed to be, is this supposed to be a chocolate chip cookie, perhaps? This one doesn't feel as recognizable for me as this. It also looks a little bit more messy. See how you have these really nice clean lines? You have the nice corners. You get a little bit asymmetrical here, but by and large, it's pretty much an expected pattern. Your candles look really tidy. The flames are all similar. But then when I get to this, excuse me, it feels a little bit more chaotic. Okay, and so that's the feeling you want to avoid almost at all costs when you're designing an icon set is a feeling of chaos. You want it to be nice, crisp, clear, clean, and a little bit more on the side of expected when it comes to where you have placed things on the page. Also, something else to think about, each of these icons is if you're sitting at a table looking at the side of the product. Then this one is as if you're sitting at a table looking from the top down. Okay, so that also kind of feels like this one doesn't fit because it doesn't have that same cool from the side vantage point that you have from these other 3. All right, so that's something else I would think about. Could you make a chocolate chip cookie or maybe 3 cookies following the rule of thirds, which you've employed up here on this cake? Could you make 3 cookies stacked together or something along, or if they were all tall, that would be kind of cute. Okay, so think about the vantage point and how you can make this one feel more like the other ones. And then the other thing I want to say is I think we need to find a very consistent color scheme. Right now, there's a lot going on. It's very colorful. It's exciting. These 2 kind of feel like they go together, and maybe even this one with the highly saturated color. But then when you come, but speaking of color, this feels like it doesn't go with these 2. This you have a gray cake, which is, well, you have the gray flowers up here, but this is maybe a little bit, let's see, what is making, because the green kind of feels like it goes with yellow. Maybe it's the red. Are these candles red and dark? This one feels a little more subtle to me in color scheme. Feels a little bit more sophisticated, and this feels a little bit more, younger child, maybe a girl birthday party. Okay? So from a design perspective, if you're actually marketing your cake shop to adults, I tend to like this one better from just perspective, my personal opinion. I think these could work too, but I like that this feels a little bit more sophisticated overall. It also feels, I think, more sophisticated because of the clean lines, which we've talked about, and the curves. And so we want to try to take these, I think would be my recommendation. You could go the opposite direction and just make the cake on the bottom a little bit more intensely and highly saturated. But I would probably instead take this and let this one be the model. So maybe you take this color and you figure out a way to have that on these ones, which you do kind of have on the flowers here. So let's go ahead and look at a color wheel real quick. I pulled this up for a student earlier. So right now we have yellow, we have green, we have hot pink, we have this really highly saturated purple, we have blue. So really we're all, I don't know if I saw any orange. Let's see. Maybe, I don't think there's any orange. But with that exception, we have almost every color on the color wheel existing here. So I think it's a little bit too much from a color perspective. I think our goal would be, if you still want it to feel visually dynamic, we could go with a tetradic color scheme. Okay, you're going to pick 4 colors, a dominant one, which will appear about 60% of the time, non-dominant, which will be 25% of this time, and then 2 accents, give or take, 5 to 10%. Okay, you could also do a triadic color scheme that would be kind of fun. You could do triadic color scheme, like say if you wanted to keep that purple, you'd come up here, you'd go 3 over and you'd do this orange, 3 over and this green. Okay, so if you did a tetradic color, if you wanted to keep kind of the intense blue that you have on your measuring cups, you could start here and then I'd probably go straight across and do like an orange and then split off and maybe do a red and a yellow. Okay, so you have 3 colors. Maybe this one is your dominant. Here's your non-dominant complementary. And then these are accent colors. Okay, so you want to think about your color story. So what's your color story? Why are you using those colors? Who's your target audience for your daughter's bake shop? Is it moms of young girls who are going to be super excited for hot pink and blue? And if that's the case, then make this your main color and come over here and maybe use green, or do a split triadic where you do this hot pink and then you have yellow and this green. Because instead of going straight across, you go one to the side. All right. Or like I really like the color scheme that you have for that bottom one, which is green. It's a little bit more of a, not quite as grass green as this, but it's green. And then you have red candles with gray in the middle. That's really cool. Maybe you do something like that and have that be more your color story. Okay. So let's work on that maybe first, because it's going to be annoying to have to go back in and change all the colors constantly. So I think if you're working on your color story first, that's going to be really helpful. I think that's another reason this doesn't stick out, is it doesn't have a strong color story and your other 4 icons do. Okay, so maybe that's something to consider as well. For your measuring cups, I did want to mention these also feel like they don't quite go along because of the amount of detail the other designs have and their variety of colors, whereas this one is just a simple color. I looked at icon sets with baking a little bit earlier, and so take a look at these measuring cups. See how they're similar colors, but they have some added dimension because you have this circle here. And then they've made a little bit of a cool highlight by using a different color, and the ring is a different color. Okay, so play around. If you want to keep the measuring cups as kind of an extra one, make sure you add in a similar amount of detail that you have on the other designs as well. And then I would just watch these lines. They're pretty thin, so if they get too much thinner, when visually we pretend that this is a clickable icon on our phone, those lines might disappear. Okay, so remember to think about that. Whereas here, see how they're so thick? When this icon gets super small, it's still going to be recognizable as a measuring cup set. Okay, here's a good example of cookies. See how they look. See, these are looking from the top down too. So maybe you do macaroons instead. Wouldn't that be fun? You could do something like this from the side, and then those are highly saturated items as well, so they would kind of fit with your color scheme. Or you could do strawberry shortcake or something. I know this week is crazy for you, so maybe you are not wanting to, you know, start over completely, but I think those cookies you might need to anyway. Okay. So this is always really helpful to take a look at some of the successful, this one not so much. I really think this icon set is a really good one to kind of model yours after. That's a little bit too simple for what you're going for. Let's look at these. Those are pretty simple too. This is a cool way of doing it, but I think the direction you're heading, you have more details, so we want to keep that up. Let's see if there's anything else for kind of inspiration for those cookies. Oh, this is cool. Okay, maybe something like this. You have two stacked behind and one facing you. All right, I think the macaroons you could make look really good, or a tart, something, or a donut. But maintain, so you want to be looking at it from the side. You want it to have some color story and fit in with the color story that you're already telling. And then I think from my perspective is this one looks the most realistic, because really if you had a cupcake, all these little stars, they wouldn't be facing you on the outside, right? Some of them would be tipped in, some of them would be sideways, but that's going to get feeling kind of chaotic, kind of like this. So I like this one because it is more simple. The details are geometrically safe details. They're expected details. Like the nice ones you have, the lines you have on this are really well done. And so the details I would kind of try to keep as geometrically safe as you can. Nice strong lines and angles. And then the shapes with the frosting is kind of where you can be a little bit more adventurous. All right, so sorry this is such a long video. I've probably given you way too much to think about. But you have quite a few directions you could go. I think the most important, figure out your color story, and then keep all 5 of your icons consistent with shape, color, and the overall feeling of them. Okay, so good luck this next week. Hopefully you're doing okay managing your very busy week. But thanks for opting in. Hopefully it helped, and I look forward to seeing your next draft.